Welcome back to South Nutfield again, and this morning I thought I'd do a classic English dish, if you like. I'm going to do two types of scones. I'll do a fruit scone and a cheese scone, or as my old friend Tony Spellingano used to say, scone chef. So let me go through the ingredients first, and then we'll go through the method. It's a very simple thing to do. Right, we start with the mix here. We need some flour, and I'm using plain flour and 3 teaspoons of baking powder in the plain flour mixed together. So that's the first thing we need. We need 50 grams of cold butter, which I've got there, and I need 30 grams of caster sugar and about 100 mils of dried fruit. Now, my grandmother always used to say, oh, I think they've thrown it in from 3 feet or 3 yards. So I like to have plenty of fruit in my fruit scones. So that's the ingredients for the fruit scones. And there's some over here, some more ingredients over here. An egg and some milk. I've got 100 mils of milk in here. And then for later, the next scone we're going to do after the fruit one is a cheese scone. And the ingredients for the cheese scone are the same mix again, 250 grams of flour with baking powder. Then we're going to add 100 grams of grated cheese. That's to go in the scone. And I've also grated a little bit of parmesan that I had just to go on top of the scone when we're ready. Also, I'm going to add, this time with the cheese scone, now a lot of people add mustard, but I'm going to add wasabi powder, because I found a little bit and I want to use it up and it's just as nice, so I'm going to try that one. So I'm going to add some wasabi powder and some turmeric to give it a bit of colour. And I have a little bit of plain flour for dusting and my rolling pin ready for rolling. So without further ado, let's get round. So if you take your bowl of flour and baking powder and just add the butter, which is cold butter, added to it. I'm going to make fine breadcrumbs. And it's a lot easier to do this by hand. You know, some people might use a machine, which I think is ridiculous. But it doesn't take long, but you must just incorporate the butter into the flour and make a nice little breadcrumb. And that's going to be the base of what we're going to do with the scones. So these are going to be my fruit scones. So make it nice and fine. Keep working at it. It's a nice job. It's quite fun. It's a nice feel to your hands. But you want to get rid of the lumps, the big lumps, and make it fine breadcrumbs. So just keep working through as it goes. Now scones, my mother, I can remember my mother making scones. Oh, my grandmother, in fact, Hilda, she used to make scones, cheese scones, fruit scones. She was always baking. In fact, we used to have a little saying in our house, "Are you baking, Hilda?" That's what we used to shout through a door when we went as children. So my fine breadcrumbs are ready, and then we add the rest of the ingredients. So for this one, we have the sugar, the 30 grams of fine caster sugar. Just mix it in with it. And then I'm going to add the fruit. the fruit, plenty of fruit there. It's a mixture of sultanas and other dried cranberries, and just mix it in very nicely. I prefer sultana. They're more juicy than the currant or the raisin. Right. Now I'm going to add the milk to it, but I'm going to do this with a knife because I don't want to get too clarty, as they say. So just add a little bit at a time, make it well. Add some milk, add it in. You're going to take about 100 grams of milk. Now the most important thing with scones is don't overdo it, don't overmix it, don't overwork it. Just get it right, to the right consistency. So I'm going to add an egg as well. So I'm going to add the egg to it just like that. That gives it a bit more colour, a bit more flavour, binds it together. It's coming together nicely now. I don't want too much more milk in it because it's going to be too wet. It's going to be quite dry. It's got to bind together obviously, but it can't be too wet. Let's add a bit more milk. So there you go, that's the fruit scone. Almost ready to roll. So I'm going to leave that in the bowl and move over to my other one. Now here's one I did earlier. And what we need to do is just to add the dry mix. Now to this is the wasabi. Now a lot of you probably don't have wasabi, but if you've got it, you can just use mustard. I'm going to use about half a teaspoon of wasabi. It just gives it a little bit of kick to it, and the turmeric over here gives it a little bit of colour. So be very careful with turmeric. Don't want to use too much. If I can get it out, it would help. A minute. Just a tiny bit to give it a bit of colour. I suppose you could use saffron as well, but very expensive to use. Right, now then we add the cheese, like so. Just add it all in together, get every last drop in there, and just slowly mix it in. Right, now I'm going to add the milk. I need a knife for it, 1 second. Just an ordinary dinner knife, nothing too clever. Just again, add the milk and water mix, or the milk or the water, whichever you use. But be careful, don't add it too much at once, because you can always add more water or mix, but you can't add more, take it away, can you? As they say. They say that with salt, don't they? You can always add more, but you can't take it away. Right, in a minute we're going to roll them out and it'll be ready to go popped in the oven. And they take about 10 minutes to cook in the oven. That'd be beautiful. Again, just knead it gently. Don't do it, over knead it. Just do it gently. So you've got a bit of a nice ball of mix. Right, now put the mix onto the floured surface. So I've rolled it out. Now as you can see, it's about, just about half an inch I guess, which is about right for me. And I'm going to cut them out with my cutters, like so. Cut through. There you go, there's one. We'll put it onto the tray straight away. It's a bit of paper, straight in there. I'll probably make about 6 or 7 scones with this, I should think. But it's coming through nicely. Give it a bit of space. And you can glaze these with a bit of milk if you like, or water, or egg if you really like. But there you go, it's about right thickness. And they're going in the oven at 220 degrees for just about 10 minutes. There you go. So there's half a dozen ready for you there. Just put that dough back together, and we'll make some more. You don't have to cut them out. You can actually cut. You don't have to use a cutter, rather. You can make them into squares or triangles, whatever shape you'd like. So we'll save that one for a bit later. We'll put that one back in the bowl, and I will just continue on with my cheese scones. Now these, you don't have to push it too hard, but we'll roll it out nicely. Again, I like them at about the same thickness as the fruit scones. I'm going to put it in here. Right. I'm just going to move these. And now we'll do the cheese scones. Same thing. Cutter required. Same thickness. We'll start with the scones. That's the first one. It's about half an inch there. It's about the right size. Oh, it's cutting nicely, coming through nicely. Again, I haven't played around too much with this bow, and that's the secret to it. Now, what I'm going to do in a minute is I'm just going to put a bit of Parmesan cheese on top of them and pop them in the oven. Doesn't matter if it's not quite the right shape. We're going to cook out nicely. There we go. And the 6 cheese scones. Put this back in here. We're just going to sprinkle a little bit of Parmesan on top. You can put paprika on as well, if you like. You put what you want on, really. I'll just put a bit of Parmesan cheese on top of each one. Gives it that piquant flavour. Nice flavour, Parmesan. Alright. So there we have. We have our cheese scones and our fruit scones all ready to go in the oven. So I'm going to pop them in the oven and put them in 220 degrees for about 10 minutes each. We'll keep an eye on them and make sure they're not too brown and too ready. They should be ready soon. We can serve the cheese scones with a bit of butter, and my fruit scones, I've got a little bit of whipped cream for you and a little bit of jam, which my camera woman's going to love. Well, the scones took about 9 minutes to cook and bake, and they were absolutely perfect. My one criticism, maybe a little bit more baking powder to rise a little bit more, but as you can see, they've come out nicely. The cheese scone here with a bit of Parmesan on top looks very nice. I'm just going to cut it open and have a bit of butter with mine. You can have it with whatever you like. Marmite's very nice with it, apparently. Not my cup of tea, but there you go. And there you can see inside it, it's nice and light in colour. The turmeric's giving a bit of colour. Just put a bit of butter on that one. And a bit on the bottom. And that one will be about ready to go in a minute. So we'll put that together. So we'll have a taste of that in a minute. And the fruit scone has come out nicely, and that is with whipped cream and jam. Now, I'm not pedantic about what goes first, the jam or the whipped cream. And I'm in Cornwall and Devon, they're very, very particular about it, but it really doesn't matter. But anyway, so my lockdown number 8 cheese scone. Now, that is so light and so crumbly and very tasty, and just that little bit of wasabi is just giving it that slight kick. Okay, so that's week 8 for me, and I'm hoping it's all happened and you're all going to enjoy it very much. And now give my neighbours my scones. See you soon, stay safe, bye bye.